Welcome everyone to the meeting of the Greenfield Public Schools School Committee on Wednesday, January 14th at 6:30. I'd like to open the meeting and have Secretary call us to order, please.
There we go. Vice Chair Childs.
Here.
Member Deneve.
Here.
Member DeSoto.
Here.
Member Deitman.
Here.
Member Goodwin.
Here.
Chair Sexton.
Here.
And I am also here.
Great.
Member Webb.
Great. All right, so we have a quorum and we are officially called to order at 6:32 p.m. At this time, we'll have public comment. Is there anyone for public comment?
Yes, we have Pamela Goodwin, followed by Judy Bennett. Excuse me.
Thank you, and if you could just state your name and your address for the record.
Pamela Goodwin, Precinct 6. I'm at 54 High Street. I want to welcome the new members to the school committee, and I did go to the reorganization. One of my comments is, I don't know if you could do this or not, but having public comment at 6:30 p.m. In another town, the select people said, you know what, we can't get the public here, they've got to pick up the kids, they've got to feed the family. They were changing their public comment to a little bit later than right off the bat. So I would love it if somebody would take a closer look at that, because we know it's hard enough for me to get here. I had grandkids all day out of town. And I don't have kids in the public system, but I do care about the school system a great deal, obviously. So that's one comment. The other comment that I would make is going back into last year, which isn't real pleasant for me, but I do believe that there were a lot of financial concerns when it became budget season, but it turns out that budget season is every month of the year, as you probably already know, because I certainly see that from other departments. And so I think it's either on this month's agenda or coming up to take a close look at, and this is no reflection on any of the work that Andy's done, but because he's affiliated and taking care of a lot of other school systems, I remember that, that there was a question about that. And I remember Member Goodwin had also said, a lot of people in central office understand the financial situation, and there might be another alternative. I don't know. That might be part of today's consideration, and certainly maybe in the next few months. I'm looking forward to be honest, I'm just trying to focus on some city council business, and I'm still very interested in what the schools are doing and whether they're going to send kids down to a different school or back and forth from all my years of teaching. So I do remember somebody saying a whole lot of money was spent on supplies, and it's sitting in closets, and I'm one of those people that would love to see smaller class sizes and paying for the aides that need to be there, and not sticking a bunch of money up in a supply closet that a teacher may either need or not need or wonder how to access to even use. I think teaching is a very difficult job, certainly nowadays, post-COVID, but it's always a difficult job. When I did it all those years ago, too. We always had to spend our money for what we needed. If we needed something, we always had to spend summers in studies. We never had summers off, but people would say, oh, what a cushy job. And I was grading papers and doing planning and calling parents about good reports and bad reports, even on holidays. That's the kind of teacher that I was for many, many years. So I wish you all well. I think you've got a task ahead of you, and I look forward to seeing how it all's going to be going. And I know it's hard work, so I want to just thank you.
Next, we have Judy Bennett, followed by Doug Selwyn.
Thank you, and if you could say your name and your address, please.
Hi, I'm Judy Bennett, Precinct 8.
I just wanted to say welcome to the new committee members. I'm looking forward to having you work with us, for us. I am an educator. I am part of our union leadership. I live in town, obviously. And, you know, one of our goals, I think everyone can agree, is we want safe, fully staffed, well-resourced schools. So I hope that can happen. Thank you.
We have Doug Selwyn, followed by Rory Talon Hicks.
Hi again. Oh, can you actually turn that mic on?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
I
Thank
did.
you. And if you could state your name and your address, please.
Doug Selwyn, 38 Forest Avenue in Greenfield. Welcome to all the folks coming back and here. Must be a little odd starting in the middle of a school year. I don't know what to do about that calendar, but it seems like a bizarre system to me. I have three, I guess, related short comments to make, all involved reaching out beyond Greenfield to connecting with what's happening across the state on different issues. I know you have your hands full just trying to figure out how to sit in your seats here, but we're part of a large state dealing with some large issues, and I hope we can be part of that conversation. So 3 different areas. One is I hope the school committee can make its voice heard all the way to the governor's office to encourage her to include funding for reopening the Foundation Review Commission to take a look at funding that that undergirds the entire system. She's turning her budget out really soon. I don't know exactly the date, but within a week, I think. And the Foundation Review Commission, if it is included in that budget, would get them to take a look at the whole foundation funding formula. It hasn't been looked at in quite a while. I know Senator Comerford is really pushing this hard, and I hope the school committee can add its voice to that conversation. Second, in terms of funding and the crisis we're in, the MTA is really supporting I forget what they're calling it, but it's essentially a financial crisis approach. There's 7 bills that they are supporting as an organization, and I would urge the committee to take a look at what they're supporting and to consider supporting those bills. Collectively, they will bring a lot more money to the schools than what we've got now. And the third thing has to do with the MCAS and the governor's plan to essentially replace the MCAS with a whole nother set of high-stakes standardized testing. So 2 pieces to this. One is, as you're looking for a new superintendent, I hope that the committee will really, if not grill them, at least look seriously at what their attitudes are towards standardized testing and what their plans are for taking the district into a post-MCAS world. And then to reach out as strongly as you can to make what I hope is the vision of the district towards not going back to standardized testing or high-stakes standardized testing. And I hear the tinkle, so I'm done. Thank you.
Next, we have Rory Talon Hicks.
Thank you. Welcome. Could you state your name and your address?
Yes, my name is Rory Talon Hicks, and I live at 83 Shattuck Street. I am a parent of a 1st and 2nd grader at Federal Street School, and I've struggled with how to make this concern known because the lack of response from the school has been really difficult. So that's why I'm here. But the issue being, we're going on 4 months of repeated cases of head lice in our kids' class. And I say we because it's me and a group of parents who are really, really struggling with getting this under control because there is not a collaborative or coordinated effort in managing the issue. I've read through the school's head lice policy in terms of management and detection and all of that. And while we understand that it's categorized as a nuisance and that it's primarily the family's responsibility, there is specific language in there about the school's role in helping families treat effectively, also rechecking, communicating with kids or parents who have children who have been exposed. There are several things that are just not happening, and it's making it really difficult. And so this kind of categorization as a nuisance has, I think, really downplayed the financial, emotional, mental, social impact that this 4-month issue has had on multiple families in this one specific classroom. So I do have a few asks. One of them is to review the policy and implement that as written, which specifically includes collaborating with families, being more communicative about what the process is and what the school is doing in coordination with the families. The other is to look at the classroom, see if there are any like soft surfaces, bean bags, chairs, anything where lice could continue to be living. Looking at the storage, how children are storing their bags and backpacks. And then again, just being more responsive and communicative with families. I know that all of the families who I've spoken to have reached out to the school, to the nurse, to the classroom teacher, to someone, I don't know if they're here, but someone at the central office, and we've really just not been satisfied with the response, and we're just concerned about this going on, and definitely if we don't all work together to mitigate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment from the in-person audience? Any public comment from our online members? You can raise your hand or put your name in the chat if you would like to make public comment online. All right, seeing none, I think we will move on to report of our student representatives.
Hello, everybody. First off, Student Council on Tuesday, January 20th, 2026, from 2:15 to 3:15, the Student Council will be hosting cookies, cocoa, and cramming to help students study together and/or finish end-of-term projects. This event is free and open to all high school students. On Wednesday, January 28th, 2026, a music bingo fundraiser is being held in the cafeteria from 6 to 8 p.m. for all families. Cards are $5 each, and all the money raised will help offset the cost of leadership conferences.
And Key Club has started a shoe drive. The proceeds will be donated to raise money for Camp Sunshine in Maine. Please consider cleaning out your closets and bring in your gently used or new shoes to the high school.
In athletics, Taylor Bergeron has been named Brad's Place Athlete of the Week. Her coach states Taylor is the captain of the girls' basketball team who leads by example, giving 100% effort in practice and in games, while consistently pushing herself and her teammates to improve. Congratulations, Taylor.
French Club. The club looks forward to a busy winter and spring with Galette des Rois this month, Ratatouille Extravaganza in February, Taste of World Cultures in March, and their 10-day trip to France during April break.
Drama Club begins rehearsals for their spring production of The Secret Garden, adapted by Gary Peterson. This production tells a heartwarming tale of Mary, the folk she meets at Misselthwaite Manor and on the moors of Yorkshire, England. Mark your calendars to come see the production on March 27th and 28th.
Library Club is hosting a series of book to movie beginning with The Outsiders, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, on Friday, January 16th. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. for pizza and popcorn, and the movie will begin at 6 p.m. in the GHS Auditorium. Copies of the book are available at the library for anyone who would like to read along. This event is free and open to the public. Many thanks to Greenfield Public Library for co-hosting this event and generously providing the pizza.
Library Green Wave Reads Reading Challenge. This year's reading challenge has started. Any students who have read a book since September can stop by the library to fill out a paper book spine and hang it up on the bookshelf window across from the library. At the end of the year, 2 winners will be drawn randomly to receive a $50 Visa gift card. Please encourage your students to read and help us build a fabulous bookshelf of all the books GHS reads this year.
The trivia team has been prepping for their As Schools Match Wits match on January 17th against Minnechaug Regional. Currently, the team consists of several seniors, a junior, and an 8th grader.
Mosaic / Students of Color Club. Currently, the group will start meeting with Matt Allen from Mass Hire, who will provide mentorship to students.
All right, that is it. So if anyone has any questions for us.
Thank you. Members, any questions or comments for our student reps? All right. Well, thank you both very much. We really appreciate hearing from you every month. And now we are moving on to reports of the administration, and we will hear from Andy Paquette. Mr. Paquette, will you please give your business report?
Good evening. You have in your packets the January report as the financial update. I did report out last month that the books were closed. Apparently, there are some either ongoing issues because, as you can see in the reports, there are still negative encumbrances throughout. We do know the city finance department is working on that, so we've been in touch with them to see as far as if there's a timeline, hoping to hear back relatively soon, but again, we know they're working on it. That being said, you have on your summary page a reconciliation of the projections. For those that are new, what we normally do is we charge everything to the local budget first, and then come end of the year, we'll do final journal entries to move expenses to where they are. One of the things we will be doing for next month is we will be doing half of the circuit breaker reclass. So you'll end up seeing changes in this. We use it for special education tuition. You'll see that there. So you have on the front page a chart showing our uses of our funding sources as it's applied to the balance, and then that remaining balance will be used as is referenced in the second note. We've been providing updates as to changes in our primarily special education tuition. We've had some out-of-district placements that have occurred. It has not changed since last month, so we're as of right now, the unanticipated unbudgeted special education tuition is, as reported there, $456,366.02. So that being said, as I said, even we're unable to provide the revolving account report, but that chart above with everything as we're planning, there's no cause for alarm. I can answer any questions that anyone might have.
Members, questions? All right, Mayor DeSorger?
I have one question about the last 4 things that are in the budget. On the last page. I didn't see them in the budget before, or perhaps they were in a different category. The last 4 things.
The rental lease equipment, extraordinary maintenance of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I am
know
looking.
we did, I found it, we did budget 30,000 for extraordinary maintenance, and the custodial before was, I just didn't see that, and it looked to me like that was 130,000 that was budgeted last year. Maybe I have that wrong.
I'm looking at the budget document, and those numbers reflect what we had budgeted. So I guess I apologize. I don't know as far as what's reflected in the original appropriation column is what it is that we have in our budget document.
May I continue? So I guess my point was I didn't see them, any of those categories in the last month budget. There, it looked different. So, so if maybe next month we could put them together, or were they new? I don't think they were new because I remember the extraordinary maintenance, but they weren't listed like that. So we ended last time at school committee, at conference travel. That was the last thing, and then there were 4 more things. Just, that's why I was asking.
I'm on the December report, and on the last page, they are the same ones.
Thank you.
Other members? More questions? I just have a basic question. For me, it seems like it might be easily explained. I'm hoping so. But I'm just curious about like the way that we budget and the way that we present the budget, because there are some lines where I'm seeing like substantial overage, like we've used 400% of something or 175% of something. And I'm just sort of wondering, does that reflect a sort of miscategorization or like a,
No,
to the
it could
original
reflect,
appropriation?
it reflects a couple things. As I've always reported out, we charge everything to the local. So if you were to look and see what our budget is built with the anticipation of using $4,293,239 of grant and revolving accounts that we have not charged necessarily as of right now to those accounts. Primarily in the revolving accounts. Once we get our grants approved, we end up charging things to the grants. At the same time, there are lots of internal changes that do occur. Primarily, I'm going to say, as we've all talked about, in the instructional assistance lines, maintenance can be one of the issues that can be pretty volatile. So you will see changes like that occur and things that look like they're running negative substantially. But between the personnel changes, and it also goes to, if you remember, I ran last year and I plan on doing it again, the budget to actual of the major UMIS codes, the salaries, contracted services, when you see the changes that occur, and whether it's surpluses in some, negatives in another. We've talked about how Mr. Messing in the SPED department has had, trouble. Maybe it's finding psychologists, so he has to go out for contracted services. Those would end up being potentially unanticipated because obviously we want to hire the staff. So when you see those things happen, I'll say there is a logical reason for it. But what we end up doing because of the fact that, and with the Munis system, we could really be, ultra scrutinous and conservative and say to administrators, you cannot charge anything if it's going to go put that line over budget. But the practice in this district has been cost center, bottom line based, and understanding that building administrators, program directors, they're the ones that control their budget. So, who is the business office to say, for example, if in maintenance, if Mr. Boudreaux's got a line that's $12,000 over, the business office would, expect Mr. Boudreaux to say, yeah, I know that that's over. I've got some surplus that I originally anticipated in supply lines that I'll ultimately do a budget transfer for to take care of that. So that's how it works. Some things do happen, that were unanticipated, that we end up having to address. But a good amount of it is the fact that, again, repeating, just under $4.3 million of other funding sources that will ultimately go to truing up our overall all funds approach.
So just so that I can explain it to myself like I'm 5, if I can. What's represented here is the percentage, like against each line or across each school. That is the appropriation just in our local budget, but that does not necessarily reflect the total cost of each actual line. That's not actually what it cost to employ all of our staff or to have maintenance across all of our
Correct.
buildings, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. When you look, I always like to say when I do training for school committees, what does it take to run your school district? And it goes beyond the local budget. So our FY26 budget, the plan that we had approved was $27,991,043. But this is just reflecting the local, but we want to show you all the expenses because I know people don't like the budget document, but we have line items for everything from all our other funding sources that we use. So we capture that in our budget presentation, charge everything to the local on the Munis document as we're showing it, and then we will end up chewing it up with those other funding sources as we do and has been done since we've been here and prior business administrators as well. But your explanation as on a 5-year-old level was correct.
Great, thank you. I just want to make sure that we're all understanding what we're seeing, and I always want to try to explain things for anyone who might be watching this later and have the same question. I also maybe we can brainstorm later about how to present this so that it doesn't look as alarming, if that's at all possible. And so that we have a better sense of the true cost for all of our things beyond the big budget presentation that we get at sort of the end of the year or the budget presentation we get for the next year. It'd be nice to see it in an ongoing basis. Thank you. Any other, Mayor again?
I have one more on page 11. At the bottom, under transportation, contracted services, it says the original appropriation was $566,092. We actually budgeted $379,000, but regardless, we've used $423,527, but what is encumbered is almost twice that at $826,215. And I just had a question about that as we were about halfway through. I would have expected that to be closer to 423.
This goes to what is it we're talking about is that we are planning on using $400,000 out of the transportation revolving account to offset that line item. And then there are things that, again, Mr. Messing and the transportation department, we have had, if you look and see, we've got new tuitions coming in that are requiring transportation that we're not budgeted for. So that has put that even over more than what it is that we anticipated. But there's an offset of at a minimum 400,000, and then we also have the balance remaining in our transportation revolving account that we would potentially use come end of the year to offset the amount over that.
But the operating budget isn't actually over by that because we're going to take it from somewhere else. It looks like it is.
Yes, you're correct.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Member Goodwin?
I don't know if this question is for the superintendent or for Andy, but when we closed out our personnel lines, there was $2 million left. Our classrooms are understaffed, and $2 million of not using on our staff concerned me. I don't know if we just didn't hire. That's a lot of people not to hire. And is there a plan so that we're not in that situation again?
I'm pulling that up. But I mean, I guess I would say as far the plan obviously is always, and we've been having budget meetings. The plan is to always hire, and we're posting and reposting for positions. The challenge that we've been having, I think everybody is, as we've talked about before, we're not finding candidates for some of these positions.
As a member of the subcommittee for budget who went around to different schools and different places, There are classrooms who are desperate for instructional assistance. They don't have support in the classrooms. From the high school down, people are talking about having large class sizes and no para support in a district that has over 20% special ed students. They need the support in the classroom. So what I'm asking, I guess, is I'm not even sure enough support was advertised. I look at every advertisements every week to see what's there. I, in my head, know that we need at least a minimum of 9 more instructional assistants to meet the needs of the classrooms in this district. But when we put this budget together, adding staff is really hard to do with the current economic state. So if there's $2 million last year at the end of closing out the staff, which was Frank just spent on supplies in a frenzy to get to $2 million down, I would rather see us really targeting staff lines, so we're not, I mean, if we get to the point where we're doing cuts, but there's $2 million left in staff lines, I don't want to be cutting something that I don't need to cut. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? I just really, on behalf of every person who works in Greenfield Public Schools, our classrooms are not staffed the way they need to be. And teachers need the support. They're clear about it. Every place I went, I heard about what's happening in the classrooms. You know, we can talk about everything, but without the right people in the right place, nothing's going to happen. So I guess 2 million is a lot of positions not to have in place in the classroom. So I'm just, is there a way to monitor that number in a different way? I guess that's what I'm looking for. So, I mean, I had a superintendent, he always said he had 60 grand in his pocket. That's how he, you know, you needed a teacher, you needed an IA, you know, he's like, he would wheel and deal. But I just feel like at some point last year, a superintendent had 2 million in her pocket that wasn't spent on staff that schools desperately needed. So I guess there's got to be a way to monitor that personnel line so we know that we're doing the best with the money that we're asking for. And that I'm just begging for is the personnel lines being maybe more accurate.
If I may, just, and I'm looking at a recent, it doesn't change your concern about the staffing and stuff, but the vacancy savings once the year was closed for FY25 was $652,015. The challenges during the year is that we have these positions budgeted for that are, so if we were to take those funds away, or, you know, we're taking the funds away, but the need is still there. And so how is it that we're going to, you know, we've got the plan of the administrators, you know, was to have, you know, Mr. Messing wants to have, you know, 3 psychologists. We're not getting psychologists. So do we take that money away, but then the need is still there for the psychological services? So the decision by the administrators is we're going to contract out because we need to provide the psychological services. I'm using that as an example because I know we've talked about it. Same with the medical therapeutic services stuff. So to say that it's not being monitored and that there's $2 million sitting there, it's not just sitting there, it's waiting for the position to be filled. You know, so that's the challenge is that we have and every other school district has regarding the fact of when you've got vacancies, just to take those funds away does not neglect or negate the need that's there and what happens as far as the position, you know, where does it go from there, I guess is what I'm saying. So you understand the concern, but, you know, it's not that it was just sitting there. It's like the plan is to hire the people. So we have to keep the funds reserved and available to hire the people.
Yes, thank you. In regards to obviously the 2 million last year, I can't speak to that at the end of the year. And when I came in this year, and obviously you've seen postings out there, et cetera, we're trying to fill the jobs in the positions that were approved by, and I say you and everybody collectively last year. So if there are needs in other rooms that you're hearing about, we'll have an opportunity this year to either move some of those bodies or reassign or add to. et cetera, for that. So yes, we're still looking for people in different categories right now. We are looking. You know, I don't know what more to tell you. I mean, I guess if you have any thoughts on how we can advertise in other ways, et cetera, we'd be more than willing to listen. But you're correct, this year, I can talk about this year, we do have some money for jobs that we are looking to hire for, that were approved by the committee and presented obviously last year by the administration, et cetera, that were their thoughts. So to now say, in the middle of the year, you're right, sometimes we can move, and I don't have that 60,000 right here in my pocket on that one. But in some cases, right, we can shift and make moves during the school year. But wholesale, in terms of lots and lots, no, because things were assigned in certain spots.
Member Deneve.
So Andy, I just want to wrap it up with a bow, if you can, for me. So the vacancy, I remember you talking last year about the vacancy rate, and I knew it was between $500,000 and $600,000. So that hasn't changed. We're still at $500,000 to $600,000 in vacancy rate. What is the exact amount?
I admittedly have not done that analysis as of right now, but I will. Obviously, it's the plan. But, you know, when you look through the budget, if you look at the salary lines, you'll see that there are lines that have balances left in them, and that's primarily due to the fact that we're not being able to find people for the positions.
Right, yeah, you've explained that, and I appreciate it, but if I had thought that there was $2 million of jobs that we weren't doing that, I would have recalled that, but I remember you saying that it's between $500,000 and $600-something thousand, so it's not $2 million, I just want to verify.
Correct, and I did find from the August school committee meeting, the final as of that time was the 652.15.
652, right, that sounds familiar, so I just wanted to...
Does not neglect or negate the point that member Goodman
Oh, I'm
made.
not saying that it does, we're talking numbers, so I want the numbers to be accurate and factual. So I just want to make sure that I'm understanding your report correctly, which I really appreciate your written report that you've been giving us. So at the end of your local budget list, when you give us the total, that is the amount of money that we're essentially going to have going into the next fiscal year, is what you're saying, right?
I always like to preface it with all things going according to plan.
Right, assuming that everything is, okay. All right, so that's less than what we were expecting before, and that's because of the out-of-district placements, correct? Okay, so that's for those playing along at home, that's $740,957.37, which is below what we originally thought which was I think 1.2 or 1.4 million last year. So that is considerably less. So everybody should know that it's not 5 million or anything like that. It is below $1 million, yes?
And then also, you need to, off of that 740, back off the 456 unanticipated sped tuition that we have in the new out-of-district placements that have come in.
Oh my, okay. Well, thank you very much.
And that, that is fluctuating as well, because Mr. Messing and we've been meeting regularly about the fact that some of these places, they're in negotiations and making sure that indeed Greenfield is fiscally responsible, and or what is the true cost by the time that the student enrolls, et cetera, and stuff. So it is one of the, I use the word without any negative connotations, one of the volatile areas that we have here. So, you know, I would not be surprised, quite honestly, if next month that number changes.
In the 4 years that I've been getting reports from you, I have never thought anything wouldn't change. So thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Thank you, Andy. And we will see you again next month. All right. Moving on, report of the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning, Mr. Sullivan.
Good evening, everybody. In the packets, you have my report for this month. In regards to professional learning, we're wrapping up planning for our next and last full day of professional development for this school year, which is scheduled for January 30th. As in our past sessions, we're working to differentiate our topics and training based on grade levels or grade bands and aligning those to district and school priorities. Additionally, in the January professional development, our staff will participate in an introductory training on restorative practices. As you know, last year we developed a 5-year restorative practices implementation plan. We've received a number of grants to help support this work. And this would be the initial training. We're calling it the initial training. I know educators throughout the district have different levels of training in the past. But we see this as an opportunity to bring everybody up to speed about the work that we've been doing, the current learning pilot that's underway at Federal Street, and what to expect as we move into the next phases of implementation. So we're looking forward to that. In terms of grants, just wanted to let the committee know that we're once again offering a vacation academy during the February break. Last year, we were able to offer vacation academies during the February and April breaks. It was funded through a DESE grant. Unfortunately, that grant is not being offered this year. But fortunately for us, through the efforts of the school committee and particularly Member Deneve, the district received an earmark grant last year that allowed for funds to be used to support students in the city of Greenfield. And we're able to use a portion of these funds to offer the February Vacation Academy. We already have approximately, when I wrote this, it was 35. I think we're closer to 40 students in grades grades 1 through 4. We solicited teacher interest, and most of the teacher interest came from those grades, so we focused in there. And we have, I think, 5 teachers who are planning to work with the 40 students over the February vacation. I think last year was a success. Most of the teachers who worked last year are coming back. A number of students who were there last year are coming back in February. And it's an opportunity to keep students connected to school, continue to work with foundational literacy skills at that age and math and numeracy skills. And I've also stressed to those teachers, like, how do we build in the joy and fun part of learning and let students have hands-on experiences and experiential experiences. I met with the teachers yesterday, and they were really excited to get planning. So looking forward to that. And then finally, I've updated the last few months, the Thunderbirds Stick to Reading Challenge. While it is concluded here, we're looking forward to the culminating event, which is a week from Saturday, January 24th, which will be Greenfield Public Schools Night at the Springfield Thunderbirds. Parents and families should have received a flyer with a QR code to purchase their tickets for students who had completed the reading. If they have not received that, they can certainly reach out to my office and we can try to support them in their efforts to get their tickets.
Great, thank you. I'd like to hear also from the superintendent before we turn it over to questions, if that's all right.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few quick updates. Our student attendance enrollment, I've passed that out, and we are up 3 students since the last 2 months. We were fortunate last month to receive a grant. I did spill the beans at the city council meeting because we got it actually that morning, but just for your knowledge, it's the Massachusetts Broadband Institute Connected and Online Program. This is a grant that was collaborated on with our IT director, Ian Edwards, and the Athena Lee Bradley, the city grant writer, teamed up to write this grant and are awarded 450 Chromebooks, 100 docking stations, 12 carts, 15 laptops. The library received some, Park and Rec, Housing Authority, and the school department. We were, by virtue of our size, the largest recipient in terms of proportionality for that, so over $250,000. So I think nice work. We talk about collaboration between city departments. This is just another feather in the cap there on that one. When we work together, we can get some money, some free money, because otherwise we would have bought these or would have had to in the future pay for these out of our budget. I want to congratulate all the schools in December. I know we're just back here. It seems like we've been back. It's the new year for a long time, but really we just came back last week into this new year. For all the concerts and the festivities that they had in December, I was able to get to the majority of them, and we have some talented individuals out there. There's no doubt about our students, and they're led by great teachers and advisors in all of these clubs and activities. So great winter concerts out there and activities. Even was able to get to a Newton School reading night and read with a lot of, and Santa even showed up. It was a nice looking Santa. Santa and Mrs. Claus came and did a nice job that night as well, too. And I do want to congratulate and thank our building director, Mr. Boudreau, and his custodians for dealing with, on January 1st, a water break at Federal Street School, which they were able to catch pretty quickly and work on and get a company in and do their own work in-house. We're still working on it. We do have a teacher displaced right now out of that room, but we've been working with everybody and hope to have them back very soon. But those are those unexpected, right? You hear about the budget, those unexpected things that unfortunately happen over time to time that we have to be prepared for. But we do have a great crew of workers who will come in on their time off, whether it's the holiday, evenings, weekends, and make things ready for our students so that they can come through and experience their education on that first day back.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments for either Assistant Superintendent Sullivan or Superintendent Doyle? Great. Seeing none, I think that we can move on to the consent agenda. And just as a reminder, members are able to pull out any one item by a vote, or I think that you just say to yourself as an individual member, you can pull out an item if you'd like, and we will consider it separately. Otherwise, we will take all three of these items together as one vote. All right, I am seeing that we can proceed with the consent agenda as presented. I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so I have a motion from Member Deneve and a second from Mayor DeSorger. Any discussion? You okay? Yes.
I think we should probably just state for the record what the change for the school year calendar is and why. It's not controversial, it's just something good to know.
Thank you, Member Vice Chair Childs. Yes, please.
Thank you. The change that we are proposing in front of you is in March. It is on March 5th. It has early release for K to 7. Prior, it had said K to 4, and that was done last year when you were talking about reconfiguring some of the grading levels. In the past, up through the middle school have always received that half a day getting out and hadn't. Obviously, we saw that, noticed that after the fact here, that it's an oversight. So that day, instead of K to 4, which it had said prior to this, we'll say K to 7.
Any questions about that? Okay, I think we are ready to vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the consent agenda as written, say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any noes? Motion passes unanimously. All right, we are ready to move on to the school committee reports, and because we don't have any of the subcommittees yet up and running to do things, the only report is mine, and this is subcommittee assignments. Did members have a chance to look at the subcommittee assignments document? Great. So I wanted to just provide a little bit of an opening in that these assignments did reflect discussions that I've had with most individual members about their preferences and desires. And I also think that it takes into account members' skills and abilities and where I see them as in the best use for the schools and for the business before us. That being said, this is a proposal, and members are free, if you have an idea or a different suggestion for yourself, if you don't want the assignment as listed, you are free to say that, and you are free to suggest another alternative. However, I cannot guarantee that any other members will be willing to trade their responsibilities if they're happy where they're at to accommodate these. So I just wanted to provide that preamble, but I just want to say this is a proposal, these are my suggestions, I think they're good ones, but we are a committee, and I want to make sure that members are serving in roles that they feel comfortable and equipped to serve in. So with that, I would seek a motion to approve these committee assignments or the subcommittee assignments as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Mayor DeSorger and a second from Member Goodwin. Any discussion? Member Deneve.
I have something that I'd like to enter into the record. I have two things to say about budget and finance. The first one is that, in my opinion, members who have spread disinformation about the budget publicly should not be on the Budget and Finance Subcommittee. There was never a slush fund of millions hiding in an account. Those false statements are in opposition to our mission of oversight and damage our district. I know multiple people have advised the chair against these appointments, and I would like my opposition to be added to the official minutes. Fact-based oversight in budget and finance is what is required in order to retain any permanent superintendent and to do right by the taxpayers. I would like to be returned to budget and finance. I have completed several additional trainings over the years on the subject, and I would be an asset. I would also like the record to reflect that I've never been adversarial and have never requested to not be on a subcommittee with any member. Also, I have an issue with the warrants idea that you have for the Budget and Finance Subcommittee. For those of you at home who may not understand, the warrants come out every 2 weeks. They come out usually on a Monday or Tuesday. They have to be signed by a Thursday. We have, in 2022, we voted to have one person sign the warrants. Many school committees have 3 people sign the warrants, or they have somebody go into their central office, physically look at the warrants, and sign in person. Some school committees bring the warrants to the actual full committee and vote on them at every meeting, and sometimes they have a warrant subcommittee. So there's lots of ways that one can do this. If you bring warrants into the Budget and Finance Subcommittee, they meet once a month, maybe during budget time. Then they don't always meet once a month. How are they going to administer the warrants? Also, the warrants are public, so you as taxpayers can go and view them. You can go into central office and look at them. When I went to training recently in November with you, I took a warrant subcommittee class, and I learned that the warrants need to come in here. So we need to look at the warrants as a full school committee and vote on them. Because they come out every 2 weeks, I would think a better proposal would be to have a small warrant subcommittee that meets, I don't know, via Zoom or however we need to do to vote on it. It's really only a 5-minute issue to have more eyes than just one on it. But to bog it down in budget and finance will do one thing that I think will damage the subcommittee. So let me rephrase this. When you look at warrants, you don't really know what you're looking at. It's just lines and lines of text, like Amazon, this amount of money, copy paper, this amount of money, we paid for an oil change, we bought a van, whatever it is. It's all these different things that need to get paid. The only way that you can understand what you're looking at and know what a red flag is if you look at them all the time. So over time, you understand the trends, and you can kind of pick out, oh, well, never seen that before, or that's unusual. That only happens through experience. So far, I've been the only one signing warrants, just me and Glenn, for the last few years. I signed the one this week. We agreed to wait 24 hours for people to look at the warrants. I keep thinking, if I wait and I wait and I wait, people are going to sign them, but I keep getting emails from Vera saying no one's signing them, so I've been signing them. So there has to be some way for people to see it and understand the trends and scroll through these payments and get an idea of what is correct and what is not. So I think that putting it in budget and finance is not the way to go. Thank you.
Okay. I'm happy to explain why I believe that warrants do belong in the Budget and Finance Subcommittee. And I also want to address the comment about how often Budget and Finance meets. So the current practice has been, yes, to meet monthly during budget season, perhaps more often with individual assignments, from what I understand, to go off and have different discussions with either school councils or PTOs or with LPACs or CPACs to get a better understanding of their priorities. So work does happen more often than the once a month. I am also, by virtue of charging this subcommittee with the responsibility for warrants, expecting that they will meet more often in order to meet that responsibility. There's no rule that says we only meet once a month. That is up to each subcommittee about how they schedule their business. I also do agree that it is important to get more eyes on the warrants, therefore charging a 3-person subcommittee with the responsibility for looking through them while vesting one person, in my view, that would be the chair of the Budget and Finance Subcommittee with the responsibility for signing them, helps to make sure that it is getting taken care of in a timely fashion by the people who are also supposed to be monitoring our bigger budget on the day-to-day as well, or at least on the month-to-month. So that was my rationale for putting it there, so that it wasn't just resting with either me or whichever member happens to have the time, but that it is actually a designated responsibility for a core group of folks on the committee. So that was my rationale. I'm happy to hear other opinions on that as well. But thank you for providing your input. Yes, Mayor DeSawyer.
I'm glad it's going to be a subset of people that are looking at it. I actually never signed the school one because I signed them on the mayor's side at the end, the warrant. But, you know, just like we bring things up here to Andy in this meeting, it's a little less formal in a subcommittee. So I'm assuming that everybody looks through them, but I think it's great to have a subcommittee, you know, or in Ways and Means or Finance, whichever the name of it, that you're looking at it together, so you're actually going through them. That's just my thoughts.
Any other comments or questions about the subcommittee assignments as presented? Yes, Member Deneve.
Are you requesting that we email you whether or not we wish to take up this work that you've assigned?
I guess I would ask, in the interest of getting these subcommittees approved this evening, one way or the other, that you either say that now, although of course if you would rather not, then you are free to email me afterwards if you don't want these assignments. But I think it would be actually important to know that now, because if you don't want one, then that requires to keep with a 3-person subcommittee and to try to balance, because I did do a bit of thinking about how to make sure that assignments were equitably distributed as well.
I'll email you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. Oh, yes.
I
Member
just
Webb.
wanted to say that I am perfectly fine with where I am for subcommittees.
Great, thank you. Yes, Member Duggan.
I am also happy with my subcommittee assignments.
Great, thank you. Okay, are we, sorry, did you have something, Mayor DeSwerger?
I am as well. I am happy with where I am. Thank you.
Okay. All right, with that, I think, are we ready to proceed to a vote? Okay, all in favor of the subcommittee and representative assignments as written, please, and I think, Secretary, I think we should do a roll call on this one. Thank you.
Vice Chair Childs,
Yes.
Member Deneve,
No.
Member DeSoto,
Yes.
I'm struggling with this, Member Deitman,
Abstain.
Member Goodwin,
Yes.
Chair Sexton,
Yes.
Member Webb, I'm a yes.
Okay, can you read out if it passed and with how many yeses?
Sorry, I'm new at this.
You're-
It passed with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yeses, 1 abstention, and 1 no vote.
Great, thank you. Okay, I think with that, we are ready to move on to new business. Superintendent, would you like to present this?
Yes, thank you. I'm presenting this to you this evening, not necessarily for a vote tonight. This is more to get the information in front of you right now, so you would have time to either do some homework on it or, digest it and come back the next month and do it, or you can take a vote tonight. So this is in front of you, and we were mailed this to you, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Virtual School Enrollment Restrictions. And the Commonwealth has students taking classes online, or people have the opportunity to take classes online. And each year, depending on how many students you have from your district enrolling in these schools, in these classes, you have an opportunity to limit the amount of people who would take those classes. So in terms of really paraphrasing it down, and I can always take questions from people, the virtual schools have a cap of 2% statewide. And there are roughly 900,000 students in Massachusetts, and the cap would be 4,000 students who can participate in that for the state. In terms of our school here, our school, public schools district here in Greenfield, we are over 1%. So the discretionary enrollment restrictions by the district can happen, don't have to, but can, by the school committee of the sending district, which is you, may vote to restrict enrollment of its students in a Commonwealth of Mass virtual school if the total enrollment of students enrolled in those schools exceed 1% of the total enrollment of your district. Provided, however, just so you know, if you ever did vote to restrict this, that nobody currently enrolled would be compelled to withdraw because of that vote. So we would use that term grandfathered in. They would stay in. Those students could. A vote has to be taken prior to March 2nd, and then we would have to report that by March 9th. Our March meeting would be after that fact, so it's January. We just got this the other day. That's why I put it on there, so that you could either ask questions about it or talk about it, and minimally, the latest we could vote on it would be in February, in that sense. We have 1.32% of our students, which is 17 students. So it's 17. If you were to restrict that that cap at 1%, because you don't have to, but you can cap that at 1%, that would be 12 students. So it would be stopping an additional 5. Again, nobody would be forced to withdraw. Going forward, those students would stay, but you could cap it. You'll see a lot of districts across the state, those in yellow on this sheet, that are over the 1%, and then you'll even see many who are below the 1% who had taken votes, and you'll see when they've had their last votes, the reason they would have taken votes is because at one point they would have been over the 1%, and they were voting to restrict it in that scenario. So as I mentioned, we have 17 students currently enrolled in virtual schools, which is 1.32% of our student population. If you voted to restrict it to the 1% cap, that would allow 12 to enroll. Again, not stopping anybody who is currently in there from continuing on the rest of their career in the virtual schools.
Thank you for that presentation. Yes, Member Goodwin, do you have a question?
I guess, and it's interesting because the birth of the virtual school is Greenfield Public Schools, and the state took it from us because we were making too much money on our virtual school. So funding-wise, I mean, the state is getting all the funds for those 17 children, correct? Okay.
Yes.
So in some ways, it's comparable to school choice, except the state's making the money. Maybe they should put that money into our foundation budget for those 17 children. That would be nice. Okay, so for every child enrolled in the virtual school, the money is going to the state. That's all I needed to know.
And,
Goes to the school. It goes to the virtual.
that school, no.
It goes to the virtual
Virtual
school.
school.
It's their tuition. They're technically, they're considered a school of choice. So it is, your analogy to school choice is exactly correct. So their their tuition amount comes from our Chapter 70 money that goes towards them, plus a virtual enrollment factor that is added on. So it doesn't just sit at the state, it goes to the virtual school.
Thank you, Andy.
Vice Chair Childs.
Are there any other schools where there will be a hard cap, like only 1% of Greenfield kids can go to this district or that district imposed by Greenfield?
No.
Yes, Member Deneve.
When this vote came up several years ago, we don't have parents here tonight about this, but we did have parents that wrote to us and came in and spoke. And I remember them talking about how this is for a very specific subset of students. This is not just for anybody. These are for students with very specific medical needs. These are for students who are on some sort of specific athletic Olympic kind of track or have any other special situation that keeps them from being in the school. This isn't like you can't just be like, I don't want to be in person. Like, this is very regimented and specific. There are kids who work in film, TV, these kinds of things. They need these kinds of schools. And so we had members of the public come and talk to us about how important it was that they had this avenue for their child's development because their child was doing other things in addition or had extenuating circumstances. So I just think that we should keep that in the forefront of our minds, because this really isn't about money as much as it's about specific circumstances that our students find themselves in very rarely and still need support. Thank you.
Great. I do want to note that on the agenda, we don't actually have a vote on this scheduled tonight. So if you're a parent out in the audience and you have a thought on this, please send us your emails or your comments or come to next month's meeting and give a comment in person. I do also just want to note for the record that we have been eligible to restrict in fiscal year 20, 21, 22, 23, and 26, the current fiscal year, but we have never actually voted to restrict. So this vote has come up before, and we have continued to allow the students who need the option to pursue the option if necessary. But again, we will not be voting on this tonight. It will come back before us next month. If you have additional questions, please direct them to Superintendent Joyle so that we can have some answers for next month. That being said, does anyone have a question now so that we can get it being thought about? Yes, Mayor DeSorbo.
This would be for later, but I'm going to say it now. I would just be curious what Greenfield's enrollment was over the past several years. And I would expect for a minute that you would know that now. But I think some of us might be curious, and I thought I'd ask it in front of everyone.
Yes, in this current enrollment, right, that this figure is based on is 1,285.
I guess I wasn't very clear. What I meant was, thank you. What I meant was, there are 17 students enrolled in the virtual school this year. What I meant was, over time, is that about what we've had, like in 20 and 21 and 22, if you had a chance at your
I'll check
leisure
that
to
out.
tell us that before perhaps the next meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Any others? Okay. All right. Yeah, Member Dykeman.
I suppose my question is for Superintendent Joyle. Is there information available where I can learn on my own time about the criteria for which a student can be eligible for virtual school?
Yes.
Where would I find that?
Yes, I would imagine we could just Google that or be on the DESI website, but I will go, do that and send you something tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yes, Secretary Webb.
I just was wondering, you guys mentioned in past years, we have voted not to cap it. And that would still be possibly on the table? Or are we being forced to put a percentage on it by the state?
Nope, this is a voluntary opportunity that we must do annually, but it is our choice to have a cap or not. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, Member Deneve.
The state has a cap of 2%, and it is up to us to decide whether or not we want to lower it or not.
I'm sorry, can you clarify that? It's up to us to decide if we want to lower the state's
The state has a cap of 2%. if we choose to have less than 2%, we can.
Yes, yes, thank you. Okay. Last call. Any others? Okay, again, if a question comes to you between now and next meeting, please send it to the superintendent, and we'll look forward to revisiting this next month. All right, moving on. Old business included the review of the year-long agenda and strategic plan review. These were mostly included as an FYI. I was not planning to discuss or vote on these.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, point of order, is the chair soliciting new business for the next meeting from its members?
So sorry, I was scrolled down and completely missed that item. Thank you, Member Deneve. Yes, I am soliciting new business from members. Are there agenda items for the next month's meeting? Yes, Member Deneve.
I have 2 items of new business. I would like to create a motion to create a position for a non-voting student member of the committee. And then let me know when you're ready for my second.
Ready.
Okay. My second is I'd like a motion to create a procedure for a meeting with the Student Advisory Council every other month in order to follow Massachusetts General Law, Part 1, Title 12, Chapter 71, Section 38M.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Those items will be added to next month's agenda. If you have, if you could send that language in an email, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Can I please be added to that email?
Yes, Nan.
All right. Any other items of new business to consider for next month? Okay, seeing none. Revisiting, moving on again to old business. So yes, I just included this year-long agenda and strategic plan review, mostly for the benefit of our new members, to make sure that you did have these documents available, that you knew where to find them. I was not intending for us to get into a whole long discussion or have a vote about these, but we will be talking about these next month. So study up, come with your questions, comments, concerns, and we can be talking about them moving forward. And I do just want to say, like, our strategic plan is set at this time. We are sort of right in the middle of it. But I can anticipate us looking forward in the next year or two to restarting that process. And making sure that we are developing a strategic plan that actually is in line with what we want and is presented in a way that is digestible to us. Okay, with that, I've got to read the whole thing. I will be looking for a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares, and I do. And number 7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant and aid requirements. And 8, to consider or interview applicants for employment or appointment by a preliminary screening committee if the chair declares that an open meeting will have a detrimental effect in obtaining qualified applicants, provided, however, that this clause shall not apply to any meeting, including meetings of a preliminary screening committee, to consider and interview applicants who have passed a prior preliminary screening. The committee will not return to open session.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Nadine and a second by Vice Chair Childs. Any discussion? All right. Can you please call the vote? Thank you.
Vice Chair Childs,
Yes.
Member Deneve,
Yes.
Mayor DeSoto,
Yes.
Member Deitman,
Yes.
Member Goodwin,
Yes.
Chair Sexton,
Yep.
and Member Webb, I am also a yes.
Okay, so we have just voted to enter executive session. Again, we will not be returning to open session. Can we vote to adjourn the public meeting now? Or do we? Okay. Great. Looking for a motion to adjourn the public facing
moved.
portion of this meeting. Great.
Second.
All right, another motion from Member Deneve and another second from Vice Chair Childs. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? I'm also an aye, so it passes unanimously. Thank you, members of the public. We'll see you next month.